What's happening, everyone? We are back. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I haven't said happy Saturday enough. Usually I'm taking the weekends off. Just kidding. I do that sometimes. Not usually. Every once in a while. And this is a special weekend. This is the Hex conference is happening. I'm on with Axis, Nerd Girl, Adam Stokes at, I think, around 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific, 6, I guess it'd be 6 Central or 7 Central. Anyways, you do the math. Time zones and all. So that's happening today. So I want to get a stream in before then, though. I want to get together with my one of my favorite people to talk about PulseX with, Top Gun Hexadian. And I'm also in the stream. I'm also in the Zoom test for the most YouTubers on one screen type of thing. So hopefully that doesn't cause a mini lag or delay or otherwise. Otherwise, I have to kill one of them, either killing the stream or killing that one. And I think they could probably do without me if they had to. So that was fun. That was a shout out to Walrus for coming up with that idea on the spot when I was like, yeah, I got a stream starting soon and I have to jump off. He's like, oh, just leave it running. Okay. I figured out a way to turn off my audio on the Zoom and then, of course, mute myself as well. So it worked out. So people on the Zoom are watching me on YouTube. All the tubes are happening right now, all the tubes. But anyways, PulseX is the topic of the day. We're going to go through a lot of stuff. PulseX will be very, very, very fun. But a lot of community questions on it as well. So it'll be great. Let me say hi to the chat real quick. We'll bring Top Gun in. We'll get started. The Harmonic Hexagon, always good to see you. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? Red Squirrel, as usual, in the chat for the algos. Appreciate that. Big GZ, what's happening? What's happening to you, man? How's it going? How's it going? DJ Bomber's in the house. Ted Nelson's here. And Red Squirrel's already making VPN jokes. That's not the reason, Red Squirrel. It's not the reason. You know that. You know that. Anyways, without further ado, welcome back to the show, Top Gun Hexadian, with a special friend.
Hi, this is Pat, the PulseChain squirrel.
Wow.
She's a little
Pat. Kid. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Wow, you have a squirrel, and is it so? Yeah, you want to tell the Red Squirrel's blushing right now. You want to tell the Pat story of how domesticated squirrel, I guess?
Sure. So yeah, Pat the Pulse squirrel there, right after she probably would have been born right about Sec FUD day, right around August 1st there when price crashed. And basically I found a 5-week-old baby squirrel that was in need of help one day in early September. And I brought her home. And sure enough, she actually took well under my care. And then I set her free back in November, and she comes back every night. So she lives with me. She hangs out with me. She watches pulse charts with me. We bet about pulse price together and PulseX price, what's going to go on. She's usually right. Squirrels know,
Squirrels know they're wiser than they appear, especially the ones that have been under the wing and influenced, such as big brain people as yourself. And if is she into moon math? What is her particular favorite thing about the PulseChain ecosystem?
Well, she does like the moon math, but I think it's the fact that the pulse symbol is kind of shaped like, even though it's a hex, it looks a little bit like a nut. So like to her, it's delicious.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, I'll take it. I like that. We have what was that? I came across the old stream with Maddie where he was talking about somebody had a cat that had inherited a bunch of hex. I think that's what it was. If you type in RHMax cat millionaire, there's a clip from that stream. And I came across the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about the millionaire cat, the millionaire hexagon cat. Now we have what could be, if we have a good 2024, hence the title, a billionaire squirrel, maybe more than one. Never know.
Yeah, it's possible. Pat and I we're just waiting for PulseX to take off, and I'm not saying it's going to take off, but there might be signs I'm ready for takeoff when it's going to do it.
You look ready. You got the jacket.
Yeah, I look ready. Yeah. I love this jacket. One of my early listeners, basically watchers, sent it to me, and so I try to wear it for streams. It's pretty awesome, but it is a little extra warm.
Did you get it signed by anyone? Tom Cruise, perhaps?
No, that has not occurred. No, I got the jacket. It's just mine. So no signatures on it. A lot of the movie patches, which is awesome. But I love this community. This community is awesome, and it gave me a lot of hope in a time where I really needed it. Because I never talk about myself or my situation much in or around this project, but I was in a pretty dark space for a while, and when I started finding my way out, I still didn't have a lot of hope for the future. And when I started to look into, Hex paying me into the future and these kind of concepts, it started to give me some hope. It's really well designed crypto that, I still do believe I'm early enough in. And all the other cryptos that I'm definitely early in that have launched around it, considering PulseX, and all these other perpetuals that are making the change just amazing. I am absolutely excited to be here. And, even to talk about the price, because everybody does, even if it's going sideways or down, for me, that's interesting because providing liquidity, continued crab market is great for people providing liquidity. And for people that are trying to still dollar cost average in, this has got to be the juiciest opportunity of my lifetime. I never thought I would ever have a chance to even get half as big of bags as I'm currently holding. So
when things go down 85%, 90%, you tend to come across good deals on things you will go up in the future. That is one pro that nobody likes to talk about. It's like if you DCA and this thing does go up, your average price looks way better.
Oh yeah, because my sack, like whatever the amount that I sacked for, I've tripled that for my holdings now, which has dramatically lowered my DCA. And yeah, I'm getting ready to make another buy, and I'm like, I hope it's going down for tomorrow. And then sure enough, it's like the whales oblige. Just like they're specifically going, yes, my friend, we know you're poor and you want it, and here's your seat. Thank you.
Wow. I want to get more because you had a really interesting tweet I want to bring up. I'll do in just a minute. Let me speak to KDB. Not practicing world record. I actually am. You must have missed the first 3 minutes because I explained that I'm looking in the corner of my screen and I see Walrus and everyone else talking. I am still on there. I'm still part of the bandwidth. My video is still running as far as I know on that screen. My audio is turned off. So I am participating. I'm doing double time right now. And double time, double squirrels, and it's going great. It's a red squirrel. What is dry powder? That's a good question, my friend. I've also forgotten the definition of that myself, along with many other people. The definition is delayed gratification. That's what it means to most people these days because they ain't got no more money to put in. But anyways, let me bring up your tweet because I think that ties into First of all, sorry to hear that you were in a dark place. I know all of us have been there from time to time, and it seems like you've certainly figured out a way to be get some satisfaction or get some hope or otherwise. Like so many people, I think this past couple of years, the bear market, there's pretty much everyone, I'm going to speculate, has had a moment where they're like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do? Like, this thing doesn't look like it's working out, all that stuff. And but like, yeah, coming out the other side of that is an amazing thing, and always like to see that for inspiration. And it's people overcoming obstacles. Like it's a real thing. Like mentally overcoming, not selling your entire bag and getting out of crypto when everything is going down around you, and you pretty much only have. You can't look at the charts and get a lot of hope unless you can as far as like opportunity, but it's not like you're seeing green candles that keep you motivated. It is your belief in the product, your belief in maybe Richard, your belief in the community. You got to take it from all the other sources, at least in my experience.
Yeah, no, I'll say August after the SEC thing and the price dip then, it was hard to hold my nose and make buys. I'm glad I did. But yeah, that was pretty much my darkest time since I found it. But, I can see how like the charts are hard on a lot of people. My dark time was actually now like 3 years ago before I found crypto. So it's been working pretty well for me.
So
the long rant.
Yeah. What is, so I was going through this yesterday too, when we were collecting some data for the stream today. So we'll bring up in a little bit too, but just one piece here. While many have spent their time complaining about PulseChain, past performance are unsuccessful projects on the chain, expectations haven't been met. You go into just kind of like calling out some of the very interesting things. Like, did you know that even on dump days, they average a 10% more buying wallets and selling wallet? Do you want to speak to that a little bit, just around the the metrics that are kind of hard for people to see when all they do is make a price chart?
So I watch probably OCD level. I'm sure some mental health professionals would say I have a problem, but I watch DEX Screener quite often. I think a healthy amount because I want to see what's going on, and I watch the liquidity pools going on Pulse, specifically PLS DAI, PLS USDC, and really the primary pair is the DAI pair. So the whatever happens there for liquidity is the most important. Everything else arbitrages out. So with that pool being the primary pool, I spend a lot of my time watching that. And I mean, if there are 600 wallets selling in a 24-hour period, there's 700 buying minimum, a lot of times more. And although there's maybe 1,000 sells in that 24-hour period, there's 2,000 buys. Like this 110% worth of the sellers is making double the buys. Now it's equaling the same money. It shows that we've got some smaller players buying in and larger whales exiting out, but I get to actually watch this flow and get a feel for the dynamic of the demand and sell of the market. And consistently whales have been snapping some profit, because when you got a 2.5x multiplier, your effective entry point price was 40 cents per 10,000 tokens, not $1. So anything above that 4 mark is still profit for a lot of people, or at least break even when they sacked at the top of the bull market. So roughly, so they've still retained a lot of value there. So yeah, they're taking profits, go figure. And there has been a healthy soaking of it, like enough to keep the price stably going relatively sideways for what crypto people consider. But any Tesla or Apple stock culty would be going nuts happy about how much their charts up. Bro, this is amazing, we're so up from August. Now that 2x would blow their mind. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a very large market entity because, yes, it's got a huge market cap. There is a lot of seats at the table. There's a large market to make. So there's a lot of players getting in and out. It's taken a while. I kind of like the 52-week narrative to shake out weak hands or for whales to take profit. But really, like when I watch, there's the heavy dump days, but I get to see a lot of the dynamic that's going through the pools because I'm firsthand watching them quite regularly and pretty astounded by the numbers. Like the minimum volume days just going through the one pool of DAI is 1 million worth of buys and sells. It's usually 1.5 and 1.5, like 3 million total volume on your average days. But when it gets really low or near top, and I see a bit of a slowdown. So I'm watching like all these ins and outs, and people are a little worried about what's directly located on the bridge, but that has nothing to do with the Coast stablecoin or any of the other capital coming into the chain. So there's a lot going on, and it's always nice to be able to see a little summary on gopulse.com and just pop in and go, okay, what are the transactions on PulseX today, and how much is the volume daily, and watching that the entire PulseX volume doesn't ever really dip below 10 million usually, like a day in volume. And yeah, that's not Ethereum levels, but for a brand new chain, that's pretty impressive. If you go over and look at the PulseX stats, we're probably at, look at that, 300,000 transactions today. Like it's just ramping up, and okay, we've got a really low day in volume. We actually broke under 10 million to 8.7 in the last 24 hours. But that is basically our baseline bottom. It spikes up from there. But as you other days and see everything over 10, like we get a lot of spikes up towards 2050. And if you look back at the earlier ones, this is one of the things that threw off my math model when we look at this, is the large number. I didn't expect so much volume on day one and to wait for it to finally settle just like a chart before it starts picking up again. So my math model kind of assumed when we were at the bottom of the volume in the DEX and going the other way. So it's been interesting how price has kind of kept with the volume, but this chart also adds, these charts together give me a lot of information. And a lot of people complain too about the liquidity decreasing. Have we all forgotten that there's no actual market, there's no big Wall Street style Bitcoin providing liquidity providers for this. And this is all decentralized liquidity. And these decentralized whales play games, which means when they think price is going to go up, they don't want to give you their tokens for cheap anymore. They start getting out of the crab market in anticipation of a bull run, which then makes the bull run easier because of the reduced liquidity. So yeah, it's taking a while for, it looks like we're inverse with Pulse and PulseX again from Bitcoin, where, well, when Bitcoin starts losing its market dominance, we start going up in value. But when it gets its rallies, well, we take a dip as everybody's kind of flip-flopping back from Pulse to the major chains. So I think when we start seeing some corrections, some major ones, because Bitcoin's had a pretty big run up, it's got to do a little bit of a sideways market correlation or market consolidation at the least. But when we see that slipping, we're going to see more action. And I love watching the correlation. Like, I'm getting so much data from this website. I really love everything GoPulse has put out and done. Like, not to show other products on here. I know this is to talk about PulseX primarily, but
no, irrelevant. Go for it.
See PulseX so well from this website. I love the way they snapshot this.
Well, that's the way, a lot of people have been fascinated and talking about too the large percentage that's been burned. Can you talk a little bit about, and I'll go to the burn page so we can look at the stat, but can you talk a little bit about where is that? Where can I see the burn on here?
Just go back to GoPulse, click on the main one. There we go. And right in the PulseX square tells us the burn tally of 635 billion.
PulseX. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right in its square right there, that's the most pertinent information you need. Click on it. It gives you the actual running total, or should display up on the screen.
Yeah.
635 billion, or 0.06 trillion. We're approaching 1 trillion burned. That's what's happening right here. And now, one of the things I also didn't account in my math model originally, but I did tweak for a little fun, was initially when everybody got into the market, the liquidity pool swelled so that there was 2.2 trillion PulseX tokens, up to 2.3 trillion at one point, on the market for sale and being provided in liquidity. That was giant, like a tank. And like I said about preparing for bull run, not wanting to leave those tokens there anymore, not believing to get crab market fees, that has shrank now to 1.2 trillion. Now, this is significant because this gets easier to move, and the correlation that, hey, that buy burn in 7 months has burned 0.6 trillion, like half of what's in that liquidity. So essentially, if it can keep going at the same pace for another, well, it's almost been 8 months now. If it can keep going for the same pace for another 8 months, just the buy and burn, if everyone stopped selling, if it started to turn into a bull market and everyone gets nervous, all of a sudden the liquidity that's there, well, in 8 months, if it halves the amount of liquidity, it's basically 4x the price by doubling the other side. If it's not going through, 9mm, it's all going through the XY PulseX pools. That's the basic math that, hey, essentially rough ballpark. No, it never works like that. That's why my math model's horribly wrong. I always warned you, I'm plaguing random variables. And so, yes, some of the models actually got close. But essentially with that kind of still winging it, that essentially the buy and burn alone, if the market stopped messing with price, would 4x PulseX's price, return it to half of the sack within 8 months. That's always been the beautiful power of the buy and burn. The only way to slow down the buy and burn is for people to start heading it off and buying before it destroys the supply. It's already become essentially a three whale sized portions. Like, it's burned over 3% outside of the OA supply. The entire market supply, it's at almost 0.5%.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, that thing is just chugging along, doing exactly what it was supposed to. And admittedly, like, a little selfishly, like, hey, I'm working overtime because I need to buy these dips. Ooh, do I want to take time out of work to make less money for free to tell people how great the buy and burn's working so that maybe a whale believes me and buys the price up and makes it harder for me? Like, no, I'm not going to sit there and flub my own bags, but it was more advantageous for me to work overtime than keep making videos reminding people that the buy and burn is doing exactly what it's intended. It is a guaranteed buyer in the system always. I'm drunken Michael Saylor that'll never stop getting leveraged up on liquors and lady and buying. and then losing his seed phrases, effectively burning it. Man, I was too drunk. I gave it to this stripper I was with. I don't know.
Cybernetic hornet's nest.
Yeah. So this thing will never stop. It's the T1000. It can't be reasoned with. It can't be bartered with. It's just going to keep removing supply. And the only way to slow it down is to move the price up. So, yeah, it's just doing its job wonderfully. Flawless.
And the point where they'll lower the price, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I don't think people realize the different nuance between the lower the prices, the burning rate, the higher the price is. Is there a blessing in disguise for PulseX being down so much right now, even when we're getting plenty of volume for transactions and stuff?
Yeah, I went over one of these theories where in my math model, when I was showing like an incredible market sell that was insane, like here dumping trillions and trillions over the first year and limited volume soaking it up. Like I ran a model like this. And essentially, like the beauty of it is right now, while it's like this, the more weak hands that get out, the more this snaps up, the less weak hands can get in. Boom. We get the weak hand sell-off off early, and now this whale will never sell. This whale can't sell. It's deleted it all, burned it all. So like a lot of people think of the burns like, oh man, they've got a burn vault wallet address and they're going to burn 10 million a month or something, and those weird gimmicks around the chains. And this is all dependent on the volume. So as that volume spikes higher, basically it gives Michael Saylor more money to buy PulseX. So he just spends it all. There's no slowing it down. So the more volume, the more it can buy. So obviously the cheaper the price of the asset, the more it can buy. So funny enough, like with this price being so low, it's allowed the buy and burn to just cream it right out. And basically in the next cycle up, there's a lot less weak hands that can sell. It's even harder for these weak hands to get back in. Like normally in a cycle with Bitcoin, these weak hands have dumped into the price and then, oh, well, now it started moving back up. Well, the supply is still technically out there. I can buy it back. Other weak hands might sell it. No, it's never coming back to the market. This little piggy went home. When it comes to each cycle, we're going to have less and less shakeouts that are even possible because of this dynamic. I love a deflationary token.
So much to get into too. Just for people who don't know much about PulseX or tuning in or who aren't in the ecosystem yet, can you cover a little bit, and then we'll get into some of the topics from the community because we got a lot of good questions that people want to hear a little bit more about. But what makes PulseX special? Like, why is it not just a unit, another Uniswap? Why is it not just another? Like, what makes it hard for any other DEX to compete with it, especially on PulseChain?
Well, one of the main narratives that a lot of people seem to have forgotten, which never really changed, is that it's the main DEX, so it has the most volume. It has the most liquidity. So basically the biggest and the baddest. Like if you want to make a good buy, you can go to other DEXs for certain items, but basically no matter what, even if people built 1 million DEXs around this chain, and this thing is so loaded with liquidity that it's always going to see volume. It's always going to see arbitrage. It's built by Richard Hart, so we know it's as limited for admin keys as possible. Like nothing has changed about this. And when we go back and look at the testnet, a lot of people have forgotten the features that are actually buried in the code. So we're not currently using the DAO. There is a lot of problems that are inherent with managing DAOs. But in the testnets, and I'm pretty sure in the contract still, I haven't gone through the code, but I forget if it was Gold Key that was commenting on it, but the DAO is still in the code. So the voting DAO could be used to allow people to pick which tokens or vote for which pairs get the incentive token instead of them being controlled by some anonymous private entity, OA, or whatever. Instead of whoever is directing it unifiedly, all of a sudden the community decentralized can decide what pools and pairs should be incentivized instead of the current ones. or on top of the current ones. It gives some option for basically that originally in the design, 10 million was supposed to be the voting share if you had 10 million tokens. So basically 30 million tokens to give you 3 voting shares. Like that was the original dynamic in the test net that I was aware of. Again, we don't have a DAO currently, but there's room for it. I'm pretty sure that Brotep has made communications with, or I probably mispronounced that, but with Corey, I've seen on Twitter that they are still working. They're building stuff. They just don't have to tell us what they're building. There are not our employees. They're not our bosses. They don't have to communicate. They can just add the features. And the original on testnets and the different versions, we had limit orders. We had a functional DAO, which makes it a very decentralized beast. And then we've got the ability for single-sided staking, theoretically, which if people wanted to promote their projects and distribute them in a way, it gives you an option. I'm not sure how successful it's ever been on PancakeSwap. I know some people were super excited for it, but for me, it was just so I get dump tokens. Like I was never that excited about the single-sided staking as I was the fact that a giant, huge liquidity DEX at the heart of a chain that was going to make lots of fees from swaps. That's a lot of real world income. It's not as exciting as 10,000 X's, but it blows the crap out of a 5% T-bill. And wow, like, so I've been providing liquidity in a certain pair, and I've watched my pool because of this crab market grow 50% in size worth of tokens. It's not quite a 2x, but yeah, that blows the crap out of anything you get at Wall Street. It's practical, it's reliable. I probably play it a little too safe around the chain, but I like something that I can actually evaluate. So I can anticipate that based on Uniswap, like, yeah, maybe in some ways it is just another Uniswap. Like what makes it special? That the creator of the chain doesn't like to lose. He's got an ego, and I doubt he's done building. He's got money to fund devs for all of life. So, you know, no expectations. But hey, I'm pretty sure people are still working on upgrades for it, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But right now, you know, maybe it's not that special right now, other than it is the giant place of liquidity, and no matter what's going on in other pairs, eventually you're going to have to arbitrage with this. So it's going to see volume, so its buy and burn is going to work, and it's not just burning off tokens, it buys them up. It does push the price up, because essentially the same way in reverse that I'm talking about, if this was a real whale or actual players in the system and we had another dose of SEC FUD, well, that is 600 billion tokens plus that could have dumped into liquidity. And if you do the math on how much that tanks the price, that drops it down at least 50% from here. And that gives you an idea of how much the buy and burn has given effort or impact to PulseX potentially. It's not an accurate way to assess it because of the price changing on different days of buying, but it gives you a rough idea. If it were able to sell and you did dump that in liquidity, how badly would it affect price? And yeah, it could move it down 50%, but guess what? It can't sell because it deleted it all. That makes it pretty damn special because Uniswap doesn't want to share any of their fees with token holders. They don't give a crap about their token holders. You're just exit liquidity. Like, that's it. And everyone's okay with that arrangement over here. And this arrangement is, no, we're treating you well, and we give you a cut of the profits if you want to hold some of the tokens. Just through buybacks. You don't get dividends. Sorry, we're not that Wall Streety, but you get buybacks, constant buybacks. And you can be a participant in the buybacks. The rewards and bounties usually aren't that exciting. It's like a few thousand PulseX at a time. But, you know, if it ever does go, finally we get our 1,000 or 10,000 X, well, that's potentially $10,000 at a time. Like, I am accumulating. I haven't sold a single token, and I love it. I love these cheap prices. I have been very, very happy to see them because I really don't believe they'll last. Sorry, I'm all ranty and excited, but like, what makes it special? Yeah.
No, that's I think one of the most underrated bullish things too is that it doesn't look like the $1 billion product yet. It doesn't look like the thing that has all the bells and whistles. Like that's the most, to me, that again, it's the whole mindset of seeing potential versus seeing like again, if you rewind any kind of investment, any kind of crypto or otherwise, and you look at something that's cheap but has a lot of potential, and you believe that the potential will come to fruition, that is always the best time to buy. Like historically speaking, it is always the best time. So every time somebody looks at something and it's like, oh, it's what does this do that something else does? Oh, it's got to buy. Okay, whatever. And it just kind of gets brushed away, all these. And then the whole nuance is lost of this is built by a guy who's in it for glory. It's got a community who ain't going away. We've been beaten down so much that how much lower can I'm not going to test the price gods or anything, but it's one of those things like what more potential could you possibly ask for?
Yeah, really. Because I mean, one of the sad facts, like at the top of the bull market, people are selling their houses to leverage down on those tops because psychologically they're doing the most insane wrong thing they can. And we all laugh about it. We see it now. We're like, yeah, that was such a top signal. Yeah, they shouldn't have done that. That was so stupid. Well, there would have been a right time to do that, wouldn't there? Yeah, when would that be? Can you pull up the price chart right now, Max, and tell me how ugly this looks? This is when people usually just give up. I couldn't have invested in a worse thing. I have to give up on life. This is it. I've ruined everything. I am a failure. I should never touch crypto again. You know, I'm not saying, sell your house on leverage, but this would be the time to do it if you're going to be doing it in the bull market. This is the time to do it before everyone else gets there. Like blood in the street.
Play the angel music. Can I play the angel music? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, like I basically like I call it like it's been a brutal market, and I never called tops on the hex, but every single bottom we had on the way down, I called. I could see it. And there was always the exact same like formations and little things that were all just adding up. And, decreased volume. Nobody gives a crap. It literally looks abandoned. It's dead. This is it. Stick a fork in it. It's never coming back from here. It's just going to drop to zero. And boom, a whale buys.
It's so crazy to see it go down that much. And then,
if you look at the volume on DEX Screener, on the main pair, this is what's so scary. There's barely like 20K volume a day. I'm talking about millions for Pulse. There's barely 20K volume a day. When you're looking like, pull up PulseX pool, a big one. And look at that volume. What are we? 500,000? That's actually exciting. That's actually a little up. But we can see through the volume bars, basically. Like I'm used to checking in on all those low days, not the spike days. But we see like a lot of days of very low volume, and you can shrink that out to, instead of the 1 hour, to the days or even the 3 day. And there you can see like the volume picked up, but as it's dropping again, everyone's lost faith. And basically when volume gets to its lowest, that's when we get seller exhaustion. I shouldn't be giving the secret to everyone, but when you get the seller exhaustion, there's no more sellers. Well, it's waiting for it's just sitting there waiting. Is a seller or buyer going to come up? And we get run-ups. Like when we start to see the actual volume finally taper off enough, we get another run-up because the sellers the weak hands have pretty much exhausted themselves for the time being, at least. And we've had a lot of weak hands, a lot of lettuce getting out of there. So basically, this is starting to correlate now, though, with like meme coins, with the loss of Bitcoin dominance. So if you go and look at the Bitcoin dominance charts, you can actually see as we're getting market corrections and it just starts going sideways, it starts losing dominance. But every time you see the market buys go back up, its market dominance will jump up over 50%. So when we see the chart start dipping here is when we start seeing the chart going up in on the dominance is when we start seeing the chart go up. So not the BTC price, but just the percent dominance. When basically I'm starting to see what I think is a correlation. I haven't directly mapped it out, but so when we see the slips or corrections down in Bitcoin dominance, we start to go up, and vice versa. So I really think like Bitcoin is always scheduled for its corrections. And this is what happened with Hex in the history of Hex, is it basically was inverse of Bitcoin. Like it wasn't correlated, but it was correlated because it was inversely correlated. Like people ran out of Bitcoin into Hex and then vice versa. Like they love to swap back and forth for a while. So
got a question here from Paul too. With 8 months under a belt, Hexadian, a large number of PulseX supply burn, how has the magic calculator projection evolved? Touched on this a little bit before. You want to talk about that?
So this is where like I joke and I say my math is wrong because like right off the bat I did not expect that volume spike, and I expected a more dramatic increase in the usage of the chain over the first year. So I mean I had plugged in a random S curve to try and figure it all out. That variable, totally wrong. And I didn't even have a way to adjust that one. I had just worked it in there to give it a little bit of life and make it a little more organic than just this steady little machine where I'm like, the market will never work like this. But there's so many variables in the market. There's no way my math model could ever be 100% accurate. There's no way it would even be remotely closely accurate. Like I couldn't work into it all the market buys and all the market sells, or figure out a way to anticipate how much the market buys. So I warned everybody constantly that this is an emulator. It is just a teaching tool to make you understand how the buy and burn is working in the background while the market is trading back and forth. So if you take the market out, this is what the buy and burn is doing. And then even if you dump into the buy and burn, this is how it's compensating, and there'll be market buying on top of it. So I don't think I ever anticipated quite this much selling in the first year. Even when I've made some of the most dramatic ones. And basically, like when I did the model, I could only do it in weeks or months at a time. Like, boom, this month, one mega sell of 2 trillion tokens, like instead of across the month. So my model was just always a toy. But it is amazing to see, like, when I haven't gone back and played with it enough, because I do have to make some adjustments where I'm starting to anticipate if I can set it to the market now and kind of like just backfill the data from what's happened, that the market will still kind of roughly evolve like it. And I mean, the buy and burn always says the same damn thing. We're going to 10,000x. The only question is when. How much can you let us hands delay it?
They prefer cabbage hands, I think.
Pardon?
They prefer cabbage hands.
Yeah, cabbage hands, lettuce hands, sell the bottom sallies. I don't know what you want to call yourselves, but everyone who's diving out wants to take profits, doesn't believe in it. Like, wow. And wow, but you can delay it. It might not happen this cycle. It might not even happen next cycle if you Yahoo somehow just keep going. But eventually it'll happen. And that is the awesome thing about this. That buyer will never stop. There is a guaranteed buyer for life pushing up price. And the lettuce hands can only keep it down so long.
So what you're saying is PulseX, if not top crypto in 2024, can be top crypto in 2029. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. The buy and burn doesn't stop. So how is this not going to continue to price appreciate? I mean,
I kind of said as a joke, but that's actually interesting to ponder on too. Is if we do, let's say, we do okay this year, maybe not 10,000x, but whatever, we do okay. What does it build up to next cycle? Like, what does the next cycle look at? We burned a ton, a lot of the supply is gone, everyone knows about it. We got some new features maybe in there. Like, what does the next cycle look like for PulseX? I don't think we've talked about that.
See, I think that's where it gets a lot more exciting, because if the potential explodes, if we all of a sudden get a DAO and we get a new narrative about the most decentralized DEX, because now the owners of it can actually vote and the OA is not voting, hence proving the inactivity of those tokens, that would be amazing. I think that would be incredibly bullish. If we got limit orders, there's so many people that just want to set it and forget it. Like, that will bring its own market wave of people that want to get in and set their weekend prices on their various tokens. I think those two things are very, very, very important. I'm still confident they're being worked on. They don't work for us, so they're working for the chain that they love, and I think we'll get them. And I think that this is one of the things where if it launched completely complete, there'd be no more build up. But you get a lovely, interesting narrative when you get buy the rumor, sell the news. So when we finally get a rumor or something out of Brotep that maybe a DAO is coming or maybe limit orders are coming soon, I think you'll see some huge price spiking and probably sell off when we finally get it. But it actually keeps it alive through constantly being updated and worked on, because people are always going to speculate on what this new attachment's value or new features value is going to be worth. So as it keeps up and competes with other dexes, I hope, that would potentially give it a lot of value. At its current pace, it would just be the tortoise and the hare is the way I'm looking at it at this right now. Maybe I've got a lot of cope. I mean, I could admit maybe I'm coping, but the tortoise wins the race. It's steady. This thing just never stops. It's just nom, 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 like Pac-Man across the screen, one dot at a time, one weak hand at a time. Like, all right. You know, like there's only 21 trillion, or there was 21 trillion. It's close to only 20 trillion in circulating supply. Now it's taken a year to remove basically in a year we'll remove 5% of the supply. So if the weak hands were gonna try and keep the price down, they would have to keep up this sell rate, hope the volume on the DEX never goes up from where it is now, that we don't have a bull run, and they might be able to keep the price where it's at for theoretically 20 years. If everyone sold at a regular pace for 20 years, and the DEX never did any more volume than its lows.
Yeah. So on your model too, so 5 years time, you said burn 5% in the next year. Does that linear?
Well, we burned over 3% in 8 months, essentially. Like we're going to approach that at about halfway through May. The PulseX DEX right now looks like it should have just gobbled up a full 5%, crossed right over that 1 trillion mark. Like, it is burning at a very, very nice rate. So like right now, I never expected this much consistency in the burn rate, in the elimination rate, because as the bull run hits and as we do see some price appreciation, I do imagine that the lettuce hands will disappear and we will see many pumps with it. But during these phases, I think they'll also be very exaggerated because of the buying. So it's still the world's greatest experiment. Like, to see how the market is reacting in with the buy and burn, absolutely no faith. And I'm sitting here going, you know what? I'm patient. Even if you want to somehow keep it down this cycle, it is going to have an even more epic cycle the next cycle. And that's how it works. Like, the more lettuce hands that exit now, no more lettuce hands can get in. If the buy and burn's destroyed it, that it increases the flow of the next pump. Basically, the more they get out now, the better. That's what I've always said in the math models, because there's less available for people to dump into the future.
Yeah, we have squirrels.
I've never
watch out with those lettuce hands.
Sorry?
I said we have squirrels. Damn it.
Yes.
We have squirrels here. So watch those lettuce hands and cabbage hands. We got squirrels. They like that stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the squirrels are working, swirling away. They're swirling away their PulseX, they're swirling away their Pulse. Yeah.
So dovetailing into the things people were asking for, or do you think would, we see Brett Depp, we see our favorite devs, we see Richard tweet like, today it looks like someone updated PulseX with limit orders, stuff like that, in his voice. So we asked a question here yesterday. What are you guys? What are some things people are talking about?
Mm-hmm.
What are some pieces that, okay, we got, Corey mentioned here, singles on staking, that should come with the DAO, I guess, for people launching coins. You can earn them through staking PulseX, limit orders and otherwise. What are some of the pieces that you could see being announced either this year, next year, whenever you think the devs are working on, that are pieces that can make a difference with PulseX, just as usability and also perhaps price as well could have some supplemental performance on that?
Well, I have not been a dev in a long time. So I would I'm haphazarding a guess on not enough information, but I'd assume that limit orders would be the easiest feature to sort out. And that the DAO would probably be the next priority after that, and single-sided staking might be last on the list, because there's always security and exploits to worry about and take into consideration. Because, you know, as like in the original story, we were not forking Ethereum, we were forking BNB. And then, we found a major flaw in BNB. Well, sorry, community, get bent. You're being delayed a year. We're not going to just launch some crap software with a bug in it. We're going to copy the better project and take the longer route doing it. And everyone got upset, and I went, good. I don't want to have Solana hacks at the top of the bull market. I would like to launch without problems. So I'm a patient kind of person, which doesn't seem to be most of the crypto communities. So if you're not patient, you probably don't want to take advice from me. I'm practical. I'm a long-term thinker. And yeah, this kind of stuff, it takes a while to do right, because DAOs there's lots of DAO exploits. I've heard of lots in my very short time in crypto. So DAOs are incredibly hard to manage and keep safe. The limit orders, though, I'm pretty sure somebody got them working with something on our chain, but I don't even know who it is, so I can't mention third-party projects.
So there's two that I know of. I think 9inch has limit orders, and there's also Omnis from Tetra, which is a aggregator, so it can aggregate different LP pools and stuff and do limit orders.
All right.
There's a couple, at least, that I know of that I've talked about, that I've either used before or otherwise heard people talk a lot about.
So yeah, as we've seen, limit orders have come up. It should be one of the most easiest things to add to the chain. So I'm hoping we see it soon. But the DAO, those can be challenging. And the single-sided staking, like a lot of people were just hoping, well, you're going to give us another incentive token. Well, the single-sided staking was in Pancake. You don't get tokens from Pancake Swap. You get them from other meme coin providers and random contracts trying to give away tokens. And so, yeah, I don't know how successful that's been over on BNB. I don't know a lot about it, other than, yeah, you stake your tokens and you receive whatever somebody wants to give away to you. So I'm launching a new project. Who should I give part of my tokens to?
PulseX.
Look at these owners of the PulseX DEX. They obviously know how to hold their money. That price is up so high, I want to give them my tokens so they'll never dump the price down. And I'm sure that the PulseX price charts have proved that if we had single-sided staking, that nobody would be price hurt by giving to our community. We're not a dumping community. Like, you guys are begging for single-sided staking and then proving the exact reason why nobody would ever want to use the single-sided staking to give you a portion of their project. Look at the chart. I can't wait till you're all gone. The buy and burn will actually prove the case for why people would want to use single-sided staking, because then they'll get the impression that our community has diamond hands. And then maybe single-sided staking is valuable, because then they think, oh, we're a good group of people to give tokens to try and get our money and get us involved in projects. So
I think they just want us to be richer, so we can add more liquidity and volume to what they give away. I imagine that's who they're targeting. But and again, and that's something that could be all these things. Single-sided staking and I mean limit orders. I don't know if there's a lot of strategy in waiting for that, but single-sided staking in particular, I've said this a million times that I don't care in January 2024 if we have single-sided staking. Like, are we in the middle of a euphoric bull run? Like, are there tons of projects wanting to give away their tokens and stuff on DEXs right now at this moment? Maybe there's a few, but I imagine there'd be many, many more when everyone's in. Retail's actually in. We're not just trading with each other, which seems to be a lot of what's going on right now outside of the random things that go up thousands of X that are memes and all that stuff. So I think there could be some strategic planning around that. Whoever's turned the knobs on single-sided staking, but I don't. If it comes out today, I don't. It's almost as if this just wanting something to happen, wanting something to happen to make PulseX go up. What if it launched tomorrow and PulseX went up, 2 or 3x? Would you rather have that or a launch when it's ready, when it's the better timing, when everyone's in and they want to buy it, and it's kicked off another feature to make PulseX super popular and more people bridge over, and it goes up 200x? Like, that's the kind of long-term thinking I imagine Genius Billionaire guy is probably, or whoever's turning the knobs is thinking of. He's not thinking, when he can sell his PulseX as quickly as possible. So he's not going to be listening to those kind of opinions.
Yeah.
So the other one here, we got another question from the community: supply burn rate projections for PulseX, macro analysis across tech stocks, commodities 2024. Yeah, this is what shout out to Tim Glassbury. At least we can get to the first one if you have any anecdotes or otherwise.
Well, so I mean, when I came in pretty hard, because one of the first things I noticed is, hey, let me buy into Hex, let me sack for PulseX. Whoa, why is it going down? Okay, look at this market correlation. Wow, okay, the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, and my Hex are all linked. Oh, wow, okay, well, why is then, and I have started to track Wall Street and the money movements there, the correlations between lumber and gold, whether risk on and risk off, and how it was affecting big tech, because I was basically starting to watch the whole kit and caboodle collapse of 2022. And I was pretty good at riding the timing and understanding what was going on in the market, because I was pretty good at understanding TA and understanding fundamentals. And it was very much a technical fundamental market. But what I didn't understand was market mechanics. And this past year, 2023, market mechanics left me back on my couch, back in school, re-educating myself, because psychological mania and automated buy bots basically in Wall Street, along with weird play and call option games and manipulation, basically rallied all of 2023. So when I look at the macro and see just how manipulated the market is, there are some macroeconomic things which basically, the last time we saw a bank collapse, Silicon Valley Bank, we saw the beginning of crypto going, hey, you know what? This is what we're built for. F you, we're here. So there's every potential that Bitcoin is going to go, you know what? This is actually what I was made for. If we do see more banking collapse, which everyone's starting to go, you know what? It's fine. We're going to get that soft landing. Well, did you know that Blackstone is defaulted on a $500 million loan, and on two separate loans also worth about $500 million between the two? They've worked out special payment plans while they cashed out billions to their own executives over the year. And like everything going on in Wall Street, the reverse repos have kicked up again, which basically means the banks have gone insolvent. People are pulling their money out, and they've had to go beg the feds, both in Canada and the States, for emergency money so that they don't have more collapses. We are in the middle of a heavy recession, and the government's gaslighting us about it. And they do every single cycle. That's always what happens. When they finally admit it's a recession, then you'll also see the headline that now economists think it started a year before. And so the microeconomic outlook for Wall Street is pretty crappy. However, there is actually chances of another waves of stimulus for China and for Canada, which I think is going to be horrible long term for those countries. But it could lead to a non-US led crypto bull run market. The world is on a weird teetering totter, and it does constantly require stimuluses or injections of stimulus quite regularly. And basically, anyone that tells you they know exactly what's going to happen is lying. But my optimistic scenario is that we finally see something break in Wall Street. The Fed will finally do their pivot and start cutting rates, but not for a few more months. And in that, when we see Wall Street tanking, we'll still see a blow off top again for the end of the year for the Bitcoin halving. I'm in every expectation that right now that it's an election year. So because of which the meddling in the market is getting even worse, because those Democrats don't want to lose. So the absolute last thing they also want is a market crash right before the election. After the election is done, God knows, then I'm that cynical that I believe the market in Wall Street is manipulated that badly. But when you go and actually look that, everyone that holds all the shares is BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And who's State Street? Oh, they are Wall Street. They are the market maker. A lot of people don't know that. And so when you're playing on Wall Street and playing the market, you're playing basically the company or fund of State Street, which is the majority holder of all world stocks and shares.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to be interesting 2024, 2025. But yeah, election year, especially in the US, it's, I don't know, maybe money printer goes burr. Consequences afterwards. Hard to say. Can we just keep printing forever? I mean, can crypto save us all? ETF, we got a lot on that. But anyways, just want to get a couple more questions into info to go updated forecast on PLS price 2025. Top Gun Hexadian. What do you got on that?
Oh man, I never do price predictions. I just did various models, and I have not been willing enough to sit down and really update the math model. But right now, I basically just told you I'm calling a minimum of a 4x in the next 8 months. So why not? I'm going to be a jerk and say, well, my minimum price calls a 10x by 2025. You don't like it? Go home, sell your weak lettuce hands, and let me buy it.
Went from 10,000x to 10x. It kind of makes me bullish though too. It makes me think. After we've been, and rightfully so, people adjusting forecasts and otherwise, having the reality check of how far prices can go down, it's pretty interesting. Where if the opposite effect could happen too, where our expectations of price goes down so much that it just everything gets blown out of the water, which it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, and that's where I never did price predictions. I'm just like, well, the model, jokingly, here's where it lands. This is not how it'll work out, but okay. And in that, my favorite zone was my 10% bullish zone. So usually in those predictions, we were aiming at between a 400 to 5,000x by the top of the bull run at the end of 2025. We've been doing less than my 10% model on a lot of days. I've got to go back and recalculate it. So that's where I always tried to work on reasonable models and ballparks. And so when you add the market buy to it, because I'm just telling you in my math what the buy and burn and the market selling does. I'm not telling you what anybody else that actually has diamond hands who shows up and buys the thing is going to do to the price. So realistically, even if I go and tamper it down at this point, because I'm getting to see like crypto is very much alive along all the chains, and it's actually almost amusing that PulseChain is still a come on, do something meme, because it's gonna explode. I still have every confidence in that. So I mean, even if the buy burn has been muted down so that it is only effectively going to put a 100x into the product, well, that still leaves the rest of the market to make up maybe the other 5x that makes it a 500x. Maybe the buy and burn should only be 1/5 of the market. Really, I mean, it's put in over $20 million because it was buying at higher prices. Like, it's put in a lot of buy pressure into over the last 8 months. But I mean, hey, there are a lot of people that are wealthy enough that have pissed away $20 million in a night. So what's the chances that somebody can come and outbuy the buy and burn in just a week worth of DCAs? Like, the buy and burn all of a sudden isn't the main part of this. It's just a nice benefit that there's always guaranteed exit liquidity being deposited into this token for you from the business's operations. You love that phrasing, Sec, I'm sure. But that's for our hardcore investors. But yeah. Is this ink? Oh, that is
yeah. I couldn't cover PulseX other than talking about ink. I was like, I wonder if I compare it to PLS, will it be better? It's like, maybe we'll just stick with the USDC chart. So it went up the most, of all the tokens. It went up started trading, I don't know, either cents or dollars, and went up to like $80, $75, $80. And then when it went on this horrible run down, it stayed in the $30 or so range for a while and held above 10, but it just kept getting dumped. Some people refer to it as a dump token. Some people refer to it as monetization of risk, and a lot of interesting things there without the OAs having a supply, or we don't know, at least on a predetermined supply. Who knows who's farming out there? But
Yeah.
what do you think about Inc. and its correlation, and is it key to, Richard talked a lot about liquidity, bonding, and otherwise. What role does it play in the ecosystem, price and otherwise?
Well, like any asset, it'll probably get speculation. At this point, it's a meme in its own right. And as far as memes go, well, you look at price, you look at market cap, you look at supply and distribution. And as far as meme coins go, it's juicy built. No huge OA in distribution, low market cap. It's a nice little meme to pop off. But I mean, I'm sorry to crap on it. I mean, I provide liquidity. I'm trying to harvest it. So, but hey, I FUD my own bags. All I remember is Richard Hart saying, "Oh, Inc. Yeah, I don't care. Uni slapped a token on their DEX. It seemed to do well. I'm just going to slap it on." That was like verbatim Richard's words. Like, that's not very inspiring. I've never been too concerned or inspired with Inc., but I am.
That's why it's so bullish, right? Like, it's the one no one expects to come out. Literally, that's what I was talking to Dipcatch the other day, and it was funny. It's like, maybe that's the most bullish case for Inc. is no one expects it to do well. It's like, that's why no one's accumulating. That's why, no one, as in, the majority of people, they don't believe in it. So what if
that's why there are the contrarian traders, and that is in some cases some of the smartest plays you can make if you're not overextending yourself and leveraging and going all in. But basically, when the market is so convinced that something's going to happen, it's almost a guarantee that the exact opposite happens. And at this point, the market thinks that PulseX is going to go to zero and that Inc. is going to go to zero. And the opposite of zero is lots of X's.
Yeah. The opposite of zero. Oh boy, there's a lot of cool stuff. Let's wrap up on this though. I've covered this. Anyone who wants to see more about the war chest and otherwise, $3 billion type of RHMax, $3 billion PulseChain type of thing. There's plenty of that, plenty of content, spreadsheet. Otherwise, I won't bring it up right now. But LT Como thickness brought it up here. RH sitting on 1 million ETH. What it could mean for. So, a couple of different things here. First of all, let's break this in two parts. First part, should the sacrifice entity make any move? Is that something that you've thought about or factoring into the equation for liquidity providing otherwise? And then we can talk about Power City and what that does for PulseX as well. But yeah, what are your thoughts on some benevolent how they could just make everyone into believers again?
Yeah. If that's what you're counting on, please sell your bags. RH right now is under SEC investigation. The dumbest thing he could do is actually start moving the funds, since he hasn't. Like, that's one of his best arguments right now if he goes to court with the SEC. I'm not a lawyer, just saying, it sounds like it to me. Opinion, people. And so anyways, in my opinion, it sounds like it might be one of the best arguments. Like, I haven't even touched the funds I got for this project. They're still sitting exactly where they're left. So till the SEC's gun, nothing's happening for those. Now, what would be the best thing for that ETH for our community? Obviously, if it all bought our bags, is that going to happen? No, because RH doesn't have brain damage. Not that I can tell from his recent video. He's still speaking properly. So why don't you go get 60 million worth of ETH and then see what it can do for the chain? I hate that argument and that requirement. Like, it's his right there. People sacrificed that and gave him because they believe in freedom of movement and freedom of speech. And that's what you're getting with this chain. You have freedom of speech. And ideally, if we get rich, then you get freedom of movement. And there's no expectations. We made a deal in the back of an alley that was wink, wink, nudge, nudge with a fat, twerking man. All right? There was no guarantee of anything. The biggest possibility and likelihood for the longest time was he ran away with our money, bought a bunch of cars, maybe got some girls, and he's never coming back. He went to Tahiti. We're all screwed. Ha ha ha. Oh no, we got a PulseChain. Oh well, now we need something else to complain about. Like, oh my god. So yeah, those funds are. This is not a company. There's no expectations. Now, that aside, there was some anonymous benefactor that looked through his wallet distributions to be very much reinforcing the price of Hex and making some strategic plays. So, I mean, if you were to believe those dark alley conspiracies, then yes, maybe your favorite founder is playing in the dark and setting up certain buy walls or has certain plans. Or maybe he's just fed up with trying to control the situation, has been humbled the crap out of himself, and doing his best not to make the situation worse for his community. Who knows? Who knows? Not me.
I don't know.
Not you. We can't speculate on RH. It's horrible for us to do so. So, Power City, what does that mean for the chain? Well, right from day one, they provided us PulseX, a cross-chain aggregator, which allowed over 64 EVM-compatible chains to get on to our chain. Wow. They basically just hooked everybody up and went, yo, it's not a hackable bridge because it's not a bridge. It's a cross-chain DEX aggregator. And so that was one of the most bullish things right off the hop. And it's supposed to work with the core. And I think EARN is supposed to work with the core as well, along with the amplifier, to allow the fees from these to also be redistributed to the people involved in this project. But they're making a whole myriad of products for the chain that becomes a nice one-stop shop for new people to get on the chain, to onboard new people instead of going after the Hexagon community like a vampire attack. It allows them to go after Arbitrum and Polygon and Matic and whatever, BNB, any chain. You got liquidity and you're like, oh, well, I don't know how to get this Pulse. Well, you go to PulseX and it'll tell you exactly, quick swap and put that in your wallet and you'll have the Pulse. Now you got to go to PulseChain.com to go set up your wallet unless you're downloading a community wallet that already has PulseChain configured in it. But if you're new and you're coming, that's what PulseChain does Power City does and PulseX is onboard new users. And they're also trying to be accommodating to developers as well. So they're offering a myriad of services. They're basically a nice little powerhouse, and they're slow and steady, and not a lot of people. They were contrarian at the beginning, so their SAC was kind of low. They had a lot less involvement, not unlike some other projects where the market cap wasn't so high initially, and they haven't had such bad market corrections below SAC. So it's made them very a little more interesting because people going, oh, I want a piece of those fees. And yeah, their SAC size wasn't so large. People aren't selling quite as much. So there are builders all around this chain that are proving that we've got value on it, like Power City. And I think that's absolutely amazing. They've got some new lines over there. Like, I can't wait for the EARN protocol, because that's one of the most bullish things for PulseX is when you weak lettuce hand jerks don't even have to sell it. You can go stick it in a vault over a Power City and do what the Liquid Loans crew is doing and just take a loan. It's tax-free. In some places, I'm not your tax accountant. Check your local district. Forget I said that. Not financial advice. But anyway, Power City is making the EARN protocol, which allows us to mint stablecoins and reduce sell pressure in a way more sophisticated and better, awesome option than single-sided staking. I cannot wait.
EARN protocol, just for people who aren't familiar, just similar to Liquid Loans, be able to take your Pulse and mint stables, and otherwise you can be able to mint stables from your PulseX, which is really powerful. Again, the never selling narrative, but also Just the ability, again, to have more native stable coins one way or another, whether you got CST, which is the fiat coming into PulseChain, or you're minting it from your Pulse or PulseX with liquid loans or with Earn protocol. A lot of people are really excited for that to come up. Maybe some arbitrage games there too in the early beginnings with the prices to go up and down, but great for PulseX, I think. So liquid loans, if it's great for PulseChain, you got to think that Pulse Power City would be great for PulseX as far as the Earn protocol. So super excited about Earn and what it's going to do for sure. Yeah, and we'll see. I think I'm very excited about 2024 for PulseX2 and just the ecosystem in general. Again, those, and then the funds too. Yeah, no expectations. Again, if you sacrificed, the money went into a black hole that you should never, ever want anything to do with again, because it is not yours anymore. That would be amazing if they ever do anything interesting, but that is not something that Top Gun or many others are factoring into his Moon math or his Mars math or any his ability to extract value or otherwise watch this thing go to outer space and possibly other galaxies. You never know. So Top Gun, what do you want to finish off on? What do you take us out on? Something bullish, something bearish, something interesting for PulseX and the PulseChain ecosystem? How's things going?
Well, right now, what is the most interesting or bullish thing that I've noticed? So with all of this talk, with everybody concentrating on these blue chip protocols, which are doing the Wall Street thing and doing dividends or buybacks or both, and giving everybody a nice way to get in and participate in the chain that sounds utility practical, away growing in the dark, the meme coins. My God. Like, I mean, I hate meme coins. So, I mean, that's like, it to me, it's also the extra, like, okay, it's funny. It is funny. Of course, it's the meme coins. Because you go over and you look on Dex Screener and you look at the PulseChain and you see what's popping off, what is popular. And there is a bunch of stupid meme coins that have no utility, no reason to keep their value. And they are the most speculative, stupid thing. And of course, look at that. Our chain is alive. Our chain there's like more and more transactions every day. And that's just PulseX that's spiking in transactions. Our chain is doing over 1 million transactions a day between all the other dexes and all the other activity. That's a lot getting written. That's a lot of activity. There's volume coming on, and people are starting to make money in the meme coins. And if that's what onboards the new users, I wonder where the whales are going to put their money when the meme coins top. I wonder if they're going to reinvest it into the core. I forget, what was the cycle of Ethereum? It wasn't altcoin season pump and then dump and then Ethereum pump, was it? It couldn't have been that simple.
There's always a narrative. Yeah, there's always something that people jump onto. Hey, I can make a lot of money here. And then, it's like the 99-1 game. 99 to lose, 1 wins, and that 1% tells everyone else about it for the next one.
But that is the bullish thing. I would not recommend buying the meme coins. I've got to imagine like they've already done stupid gains. So they've got to be getting close to topping. But basically, traditionally in the other EVM chains, the altcoins and the memes and everything, they pump hard and then it goes back into the main chain and then into stable coins. So there's like an ebb and flow to the process of the market rotating. Wall Street calls it market rotations. So the fact that our meme coins are popping off, everything else can look as dead as it wants on the price chart. Our chain is absolutely alive. It's just waiting for a market rotation.
So Top Gun's looking forward to that meme money coming into PulseX?
Yeah, basically. Get it over to my meme. I want to see ink go up.
Was it Neil for T-shirts? What he said, he was funny. He said the other day that PulseX at this point is it could be in the category of meme token, since the idea you can't do anything with it, right? We don't have singles on staking. You don't use it to vote on anything, blah blah blah. And it's like, that is so bullish. So I love that you say it that way. That is, if you think PulseX is a meme token right now, boy, wait till we get some exciting features coming up. Which again, there's a lot of truth to it. It's just that again, you can take these things and get something interesting from them. or you can take them and just be like, oh, price go up. Like, to me, I tend to see some Easter eggs in some of the conversations I have with people. It's super fun. Shout out to Neil for T-shirts. He's building some great stuff over at Tetra as well. Guys, that's all I got for you today. Top Gun, where can people learn more about all your content and all the stuff you work on, man?
Well, as I have been mostly working a lot of overtime because I'm growing my bags. I haven't made, like, I did the tech support weekend. I did an initial video. I wanted to do another for Christmas, but family. So it's Twitter. Twitter is the one place that I can at least get thoughts out. You can always ask me questions, and I pretty much always respond, unless it's when your next moon math video. Then you get, I'm working overtime, and that needs a major overhaul. If you really want to see me make another moon math video before I have time to do it, I don't know, tip my Twitter account, make sure there's enough in there I can take a week off work and overhaul the math model. Otherwise, I won't be able to really overhaul the math model until price starts pumping and I go, oh, well, there goes my accumulation window. Yeah, boss, I'm done the overtime. Then I'll be like, oh, look, I have free time. Okay, I'll overhaul it. If you want one before that, I'm sorry, but this is me putting out my tip hand. Like, you can pay me in PulseX. I don't care. I'll take PulseX. I love that payment. But make sure I can take a week off work, and I'll make you a video.
Nice. Yeah. And on Twitter, you are, is it Top Gun Hexadian altogether?
Yep, Top Gun Hexadian on every single platform. On YouTube, I do make content. I will get around to it when I get some free time. I just don't know when it'll be. In the meantime, I'm very, very Twitter heavy. If anybody invites me to go on their channels, you'll see me pop up. I love to answer questions because sometimes I don't know what I should direct as the content. What are people thinking? You've got a better pulse on the community right now for figuring out what's in their mentality, what they want to hear about. So I love having a bunch of directed questions and something to go through. I didn't have to come up with a format. It limits the amount of time I have to put into it. And keeps me able to make some content. So anybody that wants to invite me on their channel, I'm always willing to make a guest appearance, but mostly until I get some more free time again, I'm on Twitter. After that, you'll see me popping up on YouTube, possibly on Discord. I forget if I've got a few other like social medias tucked away that I just never opened up. But Twitter for now.
Yeah, man. Work hard, play hard. All right, everyone, that's all we got for you today. Again, Hex Conference coming up in about 30 minutes, I want to say. I think, I saw somebody in the chat say Johnny Chaos and where was that comment? Yeah, Lamont Black. Cool. The Hexagon, the economist, professor guy, we turned into a hexonomist. Lamont Black will be there with Professor Johnny Chaos. I call him Professor Chaos. Butters from South Park. He reminds me of that a lot. Should be a great conference once again. I'll be there with Axis and folks around about an hour and a half or so, and hope to see you all there. Again, check out Top Gun stuff. A lot of people like his content, and every time I have him on the show, it's just we get to go deep dive into PulseX and all the amazing stuff. So will it be a top crypto in 2024? We certainly hope so. Hopefully you got some valuable data from the insights, and otherwise we went through buy and burn. That's one of the most exciting things about it. And boy, this community, we can't not win. We can't not win. We can't not win. It sounds like good rolling off the tongue. Everyone, Scivive and 5555. We are out.